Hello and good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. I just wanted to say Monday, but hey, we're actually midweek right now. So Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, welcome everybody. This is a quick video preview for the webinar, which is going to happen in a few moments, by the way. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session. We're going to talk markets. We're going to see what's happening, and there's, as always, a lot of things happening. Honestly, I don't think that there was a day right now that nothing would be happening in the market. Honestly, this month feels as if it's already like a year has passed, something like that. Anyway, about all this and a little bit more in the session right now, so stay tuned. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello and good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com, and today, ladies and gentlemen, is Wednesday. Right, welcome everybody. I hope everybody's having a beautiful start of Wednesday. The markets are going crazy as always. Yep, nothing new to be honest. There are such huge moves in everywhere that it's really difficult to catch up and actually find logic. Now look, before we go any further, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm just gonna check out a few things here and there if everything's running smoothly. So also just a quick mentioning. Let me just share the screen. Quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist, ladies and gentlemen. So what can I say? The economic calendar, ladies and gentlemen, I think I will try to be as quick as possible, because again, there's always so much to talk about, so little time, and I think that I need to kind of probably stick to the main things. Now look, of course, everything is flying high. All the precious metals are just crazy. US dollar, yep, no problem that it's dropping, right? In general, look, for me, it's no. I don't have any strong feelings either for the upside or the downside. No, I'm just analyzing the market. But what's interesting, basically, it's kind of working out as what I was saying, and I think I wasn't the only one who was kind of saying that the further devaluation of the US dollar is very convenient for the US government. So, yeah. But look. Very quickly, today we're going to see what's happening with the two central banks that are coming out, the BOC and the the BOC and the Federal Reserve. This morning, by the way, we got the inflation numbers from Australia, 3.8 on the year-on-year headline. Ooh, that's a lot, 3.8. Because we know that the Australian, inflation target is it's well above the target. Let's put it this way. We have that range between 2 and 3, it has it is right now well above that. So in a way, everybody's thinking, okay, what's the next step going to be from the RBA? Well, I think that they will have to consider a rate hikes at some point. However, is this the point? Is this now when we're going to consider that? I don't know. Really, it's really difficult to say right now. However, for now, the markets are going crazy. I think what the other central banks are going to be waiting for, and that will be the change of the Federal Reserve chair, to see who's going to be the next one. And yep, I think this is where then the policies will get adjusted accordingly. Now look, this is just insane what's happening right now in the commodity section, in the precious metal world. Oh my God, honestly, this is just insanity, I would say. The fact that the precious metals are just flying crazy, that's wow. I mean, this is just talk about speculation, but what's interesting is that silver is actually anyway, like I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit. Okay, look, the Federal Reserve and the BOC. So the BOC is expected not to do anything today, and the Federal Reserve is also expected not to do anything today. Look, that's the kind of the short, long story short, right? I kept on saying this before, and I'll say it again that the before New Year, if we were thinking that before going into April, April is going to be the last kind of meeting for Jerome Powell. If initially we had this kind of idea that maybe, although maybe he doesn't want to give the rate cut, but he could still give the rate cut. He could just kind of give it as a gesture of goodwill or whatever, like as a leaving present from him. But now, after all these attacks that we saw in the beginning of January, honestly, I really doubt that he's going to do anything. I'm just curious to see what he's going to say. Probably the rates are going to stay like this. I think he's not going to do anything, but it will be interesting to see what he says about not the interest rates, like why not about like why they decided not to go for anything, whatever. It's just I think everybody will be glued to the to the screens, and and will be listening in just to hear if he's going to say anything about the whole Department of Justice accusations. So if he's going to somehow address that, for sure he will get asked. Don't get me wrong, for sure he will get asked. But yeah, it's going to be, like I said, another interesting telenovela up until April, in my opinion. I think that they might do this as a very interesting one. So, okay, look, long story short, let's see what's going to happen, of course, but certainly today's meeting will be heavily watched. I'm wondering if he's going to somehow maybe stabilize the US dollar. I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to be, like I said, it's going to be the one of the main topics as well, the stabilization of the US dollar. Because in a way, if he, it would be very interesting to see that, the reason why is because if you're going to, come out and say something, positive for the dollar, investors might think, okay, great, so maybe he will say that for now we're not seeing any rate cuts, but if inflation starts getting out of hand, we could start leaning or examining the option of hiking rates, and this way the US dollar could stabilize. So in a way, it's like another punch to the White House administration, because he will say that first punch is the not doing anything with the rates. The second punch would be kind of stabilizing the US dollar. I mean, that would be just fun to watch. Like I said, right now everything is like a bit of a telenovela, and everything is like a little bit crazy. So let's all tune in. Anyway, so that's what we're watching today. Look, you know what? Let me just jump straight away into the indices, into everything else, because again, the markets are really messed up right now. I talked about this on Monday. I said that look, the markets look messed up, and everything looks messed up, and everything is messed up. You have your potential intervention from Japan into the FX world, in order to stabilize the Japanese yen. But the messed up part is not that. The messed up part is that the U.S. is also thinking that. So basically, that to me that shows that the U.S. got a little bit scared in terms of the fact that further BOJ rate hikes could be possible, and this is something that the U.S. does not want to see. Higher interest rates from the BOJ, and maybe because if the whole idea of the BOJ to hike rates is to stabilize the Japanese yen, so hey, guys, hey, we will give you a helping hand, and we will try to stabilize the Japanese yen as well from our end. Okay. I mean, to me, like I said, it's just a clear, show that you're actually worried about the whole diminishing carry trade, and yeah, it's like it's gonna be something that could, harm the U.S. economy later. Because again, we know that the U.S. Has, or should I say, Japan holds a lot of U.S. debt. If they start pulling out a little bit, I think that could be a little bit of a problem. Anyway, so yes, Nikkei. Speaking of Nikkei, Nikkei 225. Look, we remain above this hurdle, this 552,000 kind of 600 zone. We continue to trade above it. It's a good area of support, as I can see. So we had a little bit of a rebound. Am I getting bullish? No. Why? Because I need a clearance of the current all-time high. 54,000 and a half zone. I need to see a clearance of that in order to go to the upside. So long story short, for now, I am monitoring this very carefully. If we do get that push through this barrier, through the 54,500, I will go to the upside. For now, yeah, I'm just watching this this action here, and I want to see what's going to happen next. For now, yes, this is my case. Going into Shanghai Composite, now this one's still afloat, still holding on. I have my Fibonacci retracement, which is also working out nicely. And if we're looking at some higher levels, then a push above the 44,190.91 zone would be great. It's not the all-time high, no, but certainly would confirm a forthcoming higher high and potentially attracting more buyers into the game. For the downside, a drop below the 23.6 here would be needed. If that happens, great, more sellers here could join in. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, yesterday was a little bit of a miss. Tell me something new, right? Dow to the downside, minus 0.83. NASDAQ to the upside, plus 0.91. Look at this spread. And of course, S&P somewhere in the middle, as always, or as most of the time. Now, look, Dow remained above the 49,000 still at the close. So fractionally, above that 49,000. The cash index right now is sitting, of course, above a little bit, above that closing price, but not much. The interesting bit is that, we tried to go for some higher levels, but it failed, and, we failed to reach the all-time high. Now, am I getting bearish on this one? Although I do like the downside scenario, don't get me wrong, but I would prefer to wait maybe for at least a drop somewhere below the 48,782. And if that happens, great, more sellers here could join in. The S&P 500. The S&P 500 yesterday flirted with the all-time high. Let me just double check if there was a fractional, yes, fractional push. So 6,988, we cleared that by a couple of points here, and yep, we drifted back down. So the S&P 500 right now sits at, okay, the cash index right now is sitting at 7,000. A little bit above 7,000. So we hit the 7,000, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, fantastic in a way, right? I think further upside could still be possible to test maybe the upper side of the Bollinger Band. But again, this is just a little rough idea. Look, I'll say it this way. If we somehow drift back below the 6,986 before the U.S. opening bell, if basically the cash index drifts and falls back below the 6,986, now that's going to be an interesting one for me, because again, like I said, the cash index right now is sitting above 7,000. We are, we closed not far from that level, but we closed below this barrier. This was now the previous all-time high. So if we do again open up below this, to me, it could be a little sign of worry. Now, okay, let's take a look what's happening with NASDAQ. Of course, NASDAQ, boom. Now, if you remember, I said this, that those three, the top three indices, Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, tend to kind of move kind of in the same, they move in the same direction most of the time. But if one goes for an all-time high and the other one, then the third one tends to follow. So when the Dow and the S&P were hitting all-time highs, NASDAQ was kind of lagging a little bit. And now it seems like NASDAQ is trying to play the catch-up game. So that means that maybe we could see some nice movement to the upside in a bit here, because again, like I said, it's we're targeting that 26,182. That's the current all-time high. If that gets cleared, I will get a little bit more comfortable with for further upside. So yep, for now, like I said, if we for now, I'm still bullish, right, on Nasdaq. So looking at the cash index even today, it's already trading at around 26,172. Okay, wait, just a second. The cash index, right? The cash index did push a little bit above that 26,182 today. Interesting. So, very, very interesting. So yes, let's see what's going to happen here with this hurdle. If we do manage to end up, traveling above this, above this hurdle, and we stay above this 26,182, then great. Okay, further the upside could be possible. However, if we do drop and stay below this 26,182, then hey, great. I think that the bulls could be losing the game a little bit. Let's see. The German index DAX. So we are stuck a little bit here. I think we are stuck, and to me, this looks a little bit bearish, to be honest. After we had a nice little retracement, which kind of almost ended up reaching that 61.8 on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn from the highest point of January to the lowest point of January. And this 61.8 was roughly around the 25,065 territory. So, and now we're, like I said, we're seeing this, kind of struggle to remain above the 50% here on the Fibonacci retracement. If that's the case, if we're going to continue seeing this, then okay, look, I mean, I think, let's not pretend that we're not seeing a possible reversal in that case. But if we do pop above the 61.8 and here and around here, and we stay above it, that's roughly around the 25,000, kind of in the 65, 70 zone, something around here, basically. If we do pop and stay above this hurdle, yeah, I will consider a move higher. But at the moment, the downside scenario looks a little bit more interesting, I would say. Yep, this is what it is. The FTSE 100. The FTSE 100, ladies and gentlemen, trying to make its way back up here. Look, I was saying that I'm a little bit on the bearish side on this one, but we had a strong move back above this 10,158 zone, so that's great. We kind of made it our way higher. I would prefer to see a downside move here, to be honest. Ideally, I mean, a lot of probably short sellers would do the same thing, but look, I have to stay, kind of logical, and have to accept the fact that, maybe the upside scenario, maybe we're not done with that yet. So let's keep an eye on it, because again, this, like I said, this picture here shows that the index is willing to move further north. In terms of economic data, let me just double check something here. Tomorrow, no, we don't have major news from the UK, even on Friday, right? Yes, I'm sorry for that. Didn't have a good sleep. But look, the FTSE 100, yes. What can I say? For now, everything is kind of pointing towards the upside. I cannot really say that, and also another thing is that we know that the UK leader right now is in UK, oh sorry, in China, and he's trying to make some deals. Is this all political? Yes. Do they need these deals? Yes. So it's, what's interesting? It's like, while you have the friend as the US, you're kind of like all, oh, like China this, China that. But then suddenly, your friend betrays you a little bit, and then you kind of, you suddenly start being afraid, and then you run to your, to the side which you were kind of blaming, more a little bit. So for everything. So yeah, like, you were throwing out like accusations and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to watch, and it's really interesting to see how everything is developing. Like I said, it's a very big show, political show that's happening right now. Um, on one hand, it's very, like I said, very interesting to watch. On the other hand, is it can be a little bit on the scary side. Anyway, so for now, long story short, going back to the FTSE 100, I would say just wait for some clarifications, clearances, not clarifications, clearances. Let's say of some of the levels, some of the lines, and then we'll take from there. So in terms of some, for what I'm watching, like I said, I need to see this little break of this upside line taken from the low, the 20th of January. If I can get that clearance, I will consider a move lower. If I get a push through the upside line here, through the barrier, through the current all-time high near the 10,257, then yeah, a forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. Now then, DXY. So yesterday, while we were here still, not far from like around the 96 kind of 0.8 zone, I threw this out to our VIP clients, and I threw this little piece here that I said, and actually I mentioned this in my Markets Talk webinars as well a lot, that I'm still bearish on DXY. I've been bearish at the end of last year. I'm bearish still. Now, if we just touch the technical side of it, because we look at the range here, right? Because we are in a very wide range. We were. And that range has been running from around kind of the beginning of June, let's say. So what we did, we ended up breaking the lower side of that range. So basically normal, your normal technical setup, you have a range, you look at the prevailing trend was to the downside, and the greater chance for that one then is to break lower. So there we go, we got the break. And yeah, I mean, for now, I'm saying I'm going to stick to my words. I think that unless Jerome Powell goes out and says something that will strengthen the US dollar, then yes, it could drift back up here, back inside this range. However, if maybe it could be just a temporary move, that could bring DXY back inside the range, and then, at the end, after he finishes, just kind of drops back below that, the lower side of that range. Now, again, this is also an option I'm going to consider. But in general, I said it before, I'll say it again, the U.S. administration needs a cheaper dollar right now, because, again, this is one of those goals, because you want to make your exports look more attractive, so that, for your importers, it would be less attractive to import goods from abroad, and of course this way maybe trying to hurt the foreign producer as well. So yeah, it's I hope my microphone is working, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, but I can see that my camera has stopped. Let me just double check something here very quickly. The camera, I think it touched the cable or something like that. There we go. Now we're working. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. So that's why, like I said, with the help with the devaluing US dollar, you're trying to make your importers suffer a little bit, and of course maybe this way try to damage the export side of other countries. So let's face it, and that's why, like I said, and that's why nobody's worried about this, and nobody's in the White House administration, nobody's like sounding the alarm or something like that. No, I think, look, I will stick to my words. I'm gonna aim for lower levels. My next target is the 94.74 territory. As long as we stay below this the lower side of this range, then yeah, I'm going to continue targeting the downside. 94.74 is my next target, and then maybe the 93.43 as well. That's it. That's my analysis on US dollar, because let's face it, we can try to predict, we can try to build plans, but God laughs and we just kind of get stopped out. So for now, long story short, like I said, I'm just going to lean towards the downside as long as we stay below the lower side of this range. Let's have a look at VIX. What's happening? Not much volatility. Nobody. There's no fear yet. So everything. It seems like everything is kind of standard, right? So this craziness is kind of becoming a standard thing. So, well, That's how we work right now. AUDUSD, ladies and gentlemen, boom. Honestly, we overcame my barrier. Wow, yesterday. Look at this move. Look at this move. We were here. I was talking about this. I was saying that look, 0.6937. Keep your eyes on that one because that's the kind of highest point of. That's the highest point of this one of the highest point of September of 2027. So is it? Yeah, there we go. Actually, 0.694243 is the highest point of September. Okay, look, either way, it's like a minor thing here. The point is that we overcame the highest point of September of 2024. In general, sorry, we overcame the highest point of 2024. And we're staying above it. So what I was saying before, that if we do clear that highest point of 2024, I'll go higher. I have to because of this. This is exactly what you're seeing here. Yeah, the commodities are surging as well. Precious metals are going off the charts. You have your, AUD and NZD are performing quite well. The reason for that is, of course, AUD is, a very, very risk currency, and it monitors, commodities very well. So, long story short, for now, I would say if you're looking for some further upside, I think there is a chance of a further upside move here. Let's see if that's going to happen. But if not, if we do see a retracement, back down, then I will say this way: as long as we stay above this territory right here, this 0.6942, if that happens, okay, look, great. I would say, if we get a hold up here, maybe a little bit of a rebound could be possible. Let's wait and see. If we do drop below that hurdle, then yeah, I'm going to consider a larger correction back down. AUDNZD, now this is the battle of the two. So you can see that the Australian dollar is winning a little bit of the game. So I would say this way: if you're looking for some higher levels on this one, then wait for a push above the 1.1692. For the downside, a drop below the 1.1516 area, somewhere around here, would be required. AUDJPY, my risk on, risk off monitor. There we go. Look at this. All indices are flying higher, but this one is a little bit on the careful side, I would say. Okay. So AUD is trying to push back up here against the Japanese yen, but the Japanese yen, I think the buyers are currently dictating the rules, because I think everybody understands that there could be an intervention, FX intervention by Japan and the US, yep, this is where you want to be a little bit ahead of your game, right? So of course nobody's using leverage here. Everybody's more into one-to-one kind of ratio. So long story short, for now, let's put it this way: I'm cautiously, I have to say that I'm cautiously bullish, because we're still above this upside line, although I do see this one more to the downside. But look, let's wait for a confirmation, okay? If we're looking for some lower levels, then a break of that upside line is needed. By the way, this upside line is taken from the low of the 6th of November. Okay, going into EURUSD. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished, because my target was this downside line, and this downside line basically is the this one right here. So this one's taken from the highest point of February of 2018, and we're now testing this this hurdle. Let's see if we can break and stay above it, because from what I hear, 120 has been reached already. 120, there we go. We kind of almost came close to 1.21, and now this is interesting. So I would say this way: if you're looking for some higher levels, let's put it this way, keep your eyes on this downside line. If you're looking for some higher levels, then certainly these peaks are the ones to watch. The highest point of February of 2018 and the highest point of January of 2021. Or in general, we can say that the highest point of 2018 and the highest point of 2021. is this going to be the highest point of 2026, or actually are we going to go for a little bit more? Well, I think something tells me that maybe there is a chance for a further move north where we could test the 1.2350 or the 1.2555 levels, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, Euro CHF, just a quick glance. There we go, drifting lower. Yep, of course, we dropped below this key area of support. Certainly, that's not the lowest point because again, we do have this drop right here, the lowest point of 2015, when, if you remember, the Swiss franc got untied from the euro, and it just kind of strengthened very much, and there we go. This is the collapse. A lot of places went out of business because of that, to be honest, and or maybe the business was damaged so hard that it was very difficult for them to recover. Anyway, EUROJPY continues to, well, continues to rest near this upside line. The same story as with AUDJPY, basically. So we're watching this opportunity maybe to the downside. Let's jump into GBPUSD. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can always drop me a message in the comment box about the instrument which you would like me to cover, and I will cover that one, unless I'm already covering it. But hey, maybe there's something specific. So if I know what to say, I'll tell you. But if I don't, I'll tell you I do not know what to say. However, I will get back to you in the next session with the answer. Gold is just, as we speak, honestly, gold is just cannot find a ceiling or something. It's just crazy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, GBPJPY, beautiful drop here below this upside line, and this one is already showing weakness. USDCAD, okay, dropped beautifully below this hurdle. I talked about this idea where I said if we do break this upside line, and my next target is maybe this 1.3642 area, and there we go. Boom, we ticked that, we dropped below it, and we are now not far from this level right here. This is the lowest point of June of last year. Let's jump into USDJPY. Wow. Okay. Okay. What can I say? This is just catastrophe. This is just catastrophe. Look, maybe this is the intervention that that the U.S. was saying. It was talking about what they will do in terms of what they will do. So congratulations to them. They stabilized the Japanese yen, and look at this move. Honestly, from 158 all the way to 152, that is just spectacular. Talk about market manipulation. Well, if you thought it doesn't exist, think again. So we reached the 200-day EMA on our daily chart. That's fine. That's great. Now the question is, can we drop below that 200-day EMA? Well, look, in terms of dropping below it, I think we need to keep an eye on this little upside line. So if we do drop, then my next target is this upside line, which could present itself, as a nice, good area of support from where the pair could rebound somewhat. Now, we're keeping an eye on this for now. I think that maybe we're not done. I think more to come, but certainly we are going through a very interesting period right now. USDCHF. Can I say declined? I mean, like, it broke my key area of support near the 0.7829. There we go. Beautiful move to the downside. So I don't really have much to say about this pair apart from the fact that I'm aiming for these levels here, the lowest point of 2015 and the lowest point of 2011. I think we're coming to closer to those areas. Well, certainly the 2015 one, we're getting closer to that one. Let's see if we can reach that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the commodity world, and 5,310, or was it 11? Let me just double check. Yeah, 311. I mean, Do we know where the ceiling of this is? I mean, it just goes against all the norms and everything. Look at this. This is a monthly chart. If somebody's going to tell me that this is not going to fall eventually hard, I'm going to be surprised. I mean, honestly, if it's not going to fall very much. First of all, of course, it's very tempting, very, very tempting to short this one. But it's kind of you understand it. You know, I tried myself a few times, and kind of you thinking that you've reached a reasonable area, but it keeps on just going, and yeah, it's just damaging to your account. So, long story short, I think for now, I have to say that I need to wait for what I don't know. This is the thing. I mean, for a signal, of course, for a signal. But in terms of like what is going to be that signal, what is going to be that piece of information that everybody will get, and everybody suddenly starts, failing on gold and silver. So for now, it is just one-way traffic. Like I said, I really don't know because again, looking at the 5 minute, it just keeps on climbing, climbing. There's no, like I said, there's no sense in terms of like trying to find like if using a Fibonacci level maybe. Okay, out of curiosity, but out just purely out of curiosity, let's see if this Fibonacci extension works. 5,348. Why not? Doable. So, but that's if we draw it this way, if we're not biased on some of the highs and lows, and if we do draw it this way, then yeah, of course, 5,348 could be the next big thing. Now, for now, I would say this way: just be cautious, be careful. Try to kind of protect yourselves. Like I said, this is right now off the charts. It's just crazy. It's trying to, do something. I don't know what, but certainly it's not really helpful. Look, silver, for example, right? Silver did go for an all-time high on the 26th on Monday, and then it kind of drifted back down. Now this is where the interesting, like I said, the interesting bit comes in because gold is rallying that much. Silver, we know, is the one that. The one that kind of is, was picking up buying interest, becoming very attractive. And now it's kind of stabilized a little bit. Now it's like gold back into the spotlight, right? So for now, I would say this way that if you're looking for some higher levels on silver, you need to wait for a clearance of the 117.73. If we can get that move, great, I'll go lower. But if we can clear that face, I will go higher. But if we cannot get that break, I will go lower. So long story short, for now, I am just watching this very, 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 very carefully. And if we do, like I said, if we do come closer to this barrier, this 117.73, then yep, I will consider, a possible breakout here. But again, you need to be very careful with this because look at this. I mean, look at this monthly candle. This is like a year's gain for like, this is like 1 year's gain. And, it's like what, even like not even a good year, right? This is a very good year. Could be actually a very 2 good years. In 2 years, you can gain 58%. That's wow. Like, some funds offer that. Maybe. But for now, it's just kind of one-way traffic. It's really difficult. Are we gonna end up, checking out the 2011 and 2000 and 1980 scenarios? Well, we don't know yet, but certainly it could be an interesting option where, where the commodity here could just start, reversing back down sharply, and it will at some point because you'll have to do something like this or this. But certainly at the moment it's just one-way traffic, and it's very, very, very difficult to kind of find logic in this at the moment. Yes, everybody's like, everybody's like talking about the geopolitics and everything, and I was talking about geopolitics as well. But to be honest, I think it is more to do with the debt. And we know that the US right now is planning to go into a partial government shutdown. And we're like I said, we're thinking that okay, this will happen most likely, but I think that the U.S. is struggling with financially, and this is where this is where the kind of the problem arises, in my opinion. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. But certainly, once you reach a point where you have to actually sell sell the commodity because you need money, you need to fund your people, then we'll see a reversal, but at this point it's very, very difficult to do so. Gold and silver ratio, I keep on picking up on this one now because we stabilized a little bit, but we came close to my 41 zone, basically by reaching the almost 43.4, something like that. Okay, look, is this gonna reverse back up? Yes, but is it gonna happen like today, tomorrow? Well, I don't know, because one thing for sure, let's not forget that we are in the last week of January, and the last week of January we have like 3 trading days to go through: today, tomorrow, and Friday. So let's see where we're going to end up with gold and silver, because those two are, just like I said, just like unstoppable, crazy animals, and I don't know where this is going to end, but certainly I don't see the end yet. It will have to end somewhere, don't get me wrong, but again, it's really difficult right now to kind of find some sort of logic in all this. Okay, so yeah, going into platinum very quickly. Platinum on the same story. Boom, there we go. It is retracing a little bit today, I think. Yep. No, sorry. It did retracement on Monday. Good, strong retracement. Now trying to push back up. So let's see if this is gonna have enough steam to go back up here. But if not, then of course we're all examining the possibility of a downside. Looking at this picture, look, I talked about this formation. I said that, look, the greater chance for this one to break out is to the upside. There we go, because the prevailing trend was to the upside. There we go. We got the break. Palladium is also in the same boat. So yes, good move here in general. Great test of that 50% of retracement on the Fibonacci here, and there we go. We're seeing a little bit of a go back. Where it could end, look, I will get bearish on this one if it falls back below the 38.2. That's, while it's here, it could be just up and down here, so not really doing much with it here. But if it falls back below the 38.2, then yeah, great. I will go a little bit lower. Copper. Copper is interesting, very, very interesting. Look at this. It is now clearing the upper side of this triangle, but with very small moves. So I don't want to rush into things yet, ladies and gentlemen, but of course, yesterday's candle was a little bit to the downside. Today's candle to the upside. Let's see if we can break up, or should we say, can we continue to trade above this upper side of this little symmetrical triangle, which is, by the way, on the tentative side a little bit. Very quickly on sugar. Sugar is moving sideways. However, I do like it because it's really respecting the 15 level. If we do pop above the 15, I will go to the upside. Oil. Okay, oil is recovering, so that's fine. So that's why we're seeing the Canadian dollar actually pushing beautifully to the upside against the US dollar specifically. Not only is because of the weaker dollar, but also the Canadian dollar is gaining on the fact that oil is pushing higher. And look, my mission has been accomplished. I talked about this before. I said that if we do push and stay above the 58.88 zone right here, my next target is the 208 EMA together with this 62.59 tick. We got the move, we got the touch. So now what's next? Well, what can I say? Next is this, that if we do stay above this little hurdle here, this 62.59, then yes, I will continue targeting the upside. Brent oil pushed higher. The 66.78 is the barrier that this one I'm watching very closely, very carefully. If we clear this one, I will go higher. Natural gas. I mean, okay, wow, look at the drop. Look at the drop, ladies and gentlemen. This is just amazing. Let me try to find a little bit of maybe information on natural gas. Yes, unprecedented roughly rally over the previous 5 sessions. This forecast shifted to warmer, and some frozen wells returned to service. So yes, basically the weather has shifted a little bit, better. And congratulations to the ones who were shorting this. This was just spectacular. I didn't short this. This was just like I said, amazing to watch. I'm just gonna try to see if I can see. There's another update here. Ugh, why is it not picking up? Okay, anyway, I'll have to check somewhere else. But yeah, I wanted to check something here. But anyway, look, long story short, ladies and gentlemen, this, like I said, this could continue falling, and at some point, of course, I think we could be done for this year with with bad weather. So whoever captured this move, congratulations to you, ladies and gentlemen. I surely didn't because I missed it. But hey, no, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Something tickled my nose here. But yeah, I surely missed that move. So I think that we could see further decline here towards this upside line, and then maybe even below that. So, don't try to chase this one. I think it was just that one-off move that somebody speculated perfectly on it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the crypto world. Bitcoin, we're seeing some recovery. That's great here. Yes, we're seeing some recovery. That's fine. Let's see if this is gonna, play out somehow nicely here. Because at the moment, I would say, Nadine Lambo, hi. Thank you very much. Sorry for that. Sorry for the, unfortunately couldn't control it, couldn't stop it. But yeah, look, Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, my problem is that as much as I would like to see it higher, I still see weakness. I still see problems here. Is like maybe if the market somehow shifts away from metals, because I think metals right now, precious metals, are like sucking in all the the money basically, and everybody's just jumping into that one. Look, is it a bubble some sort? Kind of looks like that. I'm not talking about the cryptos, I'm talking about the metals. Yeah, it looks like some sort of a bubble, so it will collapse at one point. But the question is, will that money shift to, let's say, cryptos, or actually will it shift to like something like bonds or something like that, right? So for now, I think that, yeah, look, don't rush into things. Okay, just keep your eyes on this. I think if it pushes back above the 91,000 zone, then great. More buyers here could join in my opinion. So for now, I'm just kind of being very careful. Bitcoin Cash. Now this one's trying to climb back up. Okay, with Bitcoin Cash, I really want to remove everything and start fresh. So overall, the Bitcoin Cash here situation is this, that we had a decline, and then we started moving sideways a little bit. So we're kind of moving sideways here, roughly between that kind of 600, right, and on the downside 565 levels. So let's face it, if we do clear one of the sides, then we'll consider the next short-term directional move. So if it is a range, then we look at the prevailing trend. The prevailing trend is to the downside, so that means should be theoretically greater chance for this one to move out lower. That said, is this a double bottom with the neckline being around the 600 as well? Yes, it could be. So let's, like I said, let's keep that in mind. Maybe, like I said, maybe this could end up playing out nicely for the bulls, but I'll say this way: while we remain in here, we cannot really do anything here. Ripple is really trying hard to get back above that 1.1990. Look, it looks like a nice little reversal here. So for now, I am watching that one. And if we do get a nice good push through that 1.9090, then yes, great, more buyers could join in. Ethereum is yes, also trying to climb back up. That's great in a way. Let's see if we can climb back above the psychological 3,000 zone, or even better 3,000, kind of in a 3,050 zone, somewhere there. Ethereum Classic, I started looking at this one, so it's pushing back to the upside here. Okay, let's say if we're gonna drop again below the 11.31, I'm gonna lean towards the downside. Pretty straightforward, to be honest. Litecoin, now Litecoin loves the whole $70 mark, for now at least. It's kind of keep testing it, like currently oscillating around it. So if we somehow stay above the 70 mark, then that's fine. Okay, I'm going to consider a little bit of a move higher. But if it falls and remains below the 70, then I'll consider a move lower. Nadine, Lambo, what market conditions or geopolitical moves are needed for USD to go back to the upside? I don't know if you joined me from the start of this session, because I was kind of talking about the Federal Reserve, but let me pick up on that. This is, like I said, it is an important question. I'll repeat what I said in the beginning of the show, but first let me just quickly fix this one, and I'll jump back into DXY. So Dogecoin, yes, showing positivity a little bit again, pushing back above this little tentative downside line, or somebody might say maybe it's just bang on it. So maybe it's not the kind of the main indicator here to watch. However, let's see if it climbs. If it 2 minutes ago. Okay, like I said, Nadine, I will just pick up on, like I said, on DXY, and I'll again very quickly. Let me just finish off with these two. So Dogecoin, like I said, I'm watching this one. I believe that there is room for some upside, but again, I'm being careful because the money doesn't flow there yet. Polkadot is really trying hard to climb back, but in general, I think that the best positive sign for Polkadot would be if it climbs back above 2. And finally, Tron, this one is sliding. This broke the upside line here, so I think that further declines here could be possible in this one. And going back very quickly to DXY, where's that DXY dollar index? There we go. So I talked about this yesterday. Like I said, I threw out a piece on it to our VIP clients, and we were kind of still around here, 96.80, and I said that, look, I was talking about this range for a while now in my MarketsTalk webinars, and I said, look, since the beginning of June we have been in this range, and what I was saying that I'm still bearish on the US dollar. Why? Because, well, nobody needs it, as a stronger one, and by nobody I mean the White House administration. Nobody in there needs the stronger dollar. Why? Because it's better for exports. This way you can harm the U.S. importers who are flooding the market with cheaper goods from abroad. You can hurt this way. You can also hurt the foreign producers. Trying to weaken their economies by creating this kind of obstacle where the US dollar becomes very cheap, because it becomes then more expensive for the US importers to import. This way, the exports of those other countries fall, and blah blah blah, right? So you get this scenario, and this is what I think that what they want to do right now. Of course, all this is at an expense of the US consumer, but from what we see right now, nobody cares about that. So nobody cares about people. That's a fact. But you only care about people when you have the elections coming up. So that's normal standard practice. But look, for now, what event could play out positively for the U.S. dollar is the Federal Reserve, but again, only on the temporary side. So what I said in the beginning of the show is that if we see, let's say, Jerome Powell coming out saying, hey, we believe that no further rate cuts are going to be seen until further notice, because we could potentially have a problem with inflation due to tariffs, picking up due to retailers and producers passing on the cost to the consumer. So congratulations, we could see inflation going a little bit higher. Maybe this could help stabilize the US dollar and push it back up. And I do see this as a possibility during this event today, during the Federal Reserve interest rate decision, because it would be just like a flip you back for attacking me in the beginning of January moment. So you attack me in the beginning of January, you unleash the Department of Justice on me for something that it should probably there's no reason for. Again, I'm probably I'm not biased. I'm not supporting either of the sides. I'm just kind of trying to objectively evaluate what's happening. You just kind of, like I said, and then you do all these things to me, and you're hoping to see that I'm gonna do the rate cuts. I'm like, are you like for real? Like initially, at the end of 2025, we're hoping to see here in April this column actually being bigger than this column, but now, I mean, everybody understands probably, Jerome Powell is not going to do anything. So this way, maybe the XY could stabilize and push back up. However, my only problem is that it could be like a temporary fix, so we could see a pop back up inside this range, but then let's say straight away we will receive a tweet, or not a tweet, sorry, a post, on Truth Social somewhere, and saying that, oh, you know what, we really are going to be doing this and this and that, and the market might take it as a weakness for the US dollar, and this way, so like the initial reaction could be positive from the whole Federal Reserve press conference, but but that could be like I said, short-lived, because maybe something will follow after where. Because again, like I said, the White House administration needs a cheaper dollar because it's useful for now. Anyway, so I hope that answers the question, Nadine. But yeah, thank you very much for the question, because, and ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what these shows are meant for. We need to, we can ask more questions. This live session is for questions. So, but if you're watching me, by the way, or is recorded, hey, feel free to throw out a question as well. In the comments, I'll just pick up on it in my next show. So, I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I will be more than happy to answer. So, I hope I can answer. But thank you very much, everybody. If there are no further questions, thank you very much, everybody. I hope everybody's going to have a great day today. Keep your eyes on the precious metals, because this is insanity right now. Or somebody might say, well, hey, Darius, everything's logical, right? Yes and no. Yes, or the favorite answer, it depends. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. I'll have to wrap it up here. I'm going already for an hour of the session, so thank you, and I shall see you all. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you. I shall see you all in my next session on Friday. Yes, as always, the same time. Just check our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll go from there. So have a beautiful trading day. Stay safe. Have your stop losses in place. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.